This is one of your poor parking jobs.
Good morning, everyone. We're starting out today, unfortunately, having to undo the work that I did a while ago and then redo it so it's correct. So a few weeks ago, I worked on putting up all this ply backer, which is going to be behind the upper cabinets. But the mistake I made was the measurement of the cabinet on the ceiling. So I want my cabinets to come off the wall 12 inches all the way from front to back. We're going to have the same depth of cabinet. So I made this backer that I put on the ceiling 12 inches long. However, the wall slopes away from the ceiling. So at this point here, if you drop this straight down, this is actually about 15 inches away from the wall. This is a problem because this comes out way too far. So for example, this is the frame for the cabinet on the other side of the van, but it works for an example. So I put this up here, and now I'm standing about where I would be if I was working on our kitchen counter, and this is so close. I would be hitting my head all the time into this cabinet. So I need to move this back about 3 inches so that it's truly 12 inches off the wall at the lowest point of the cabinet, not at the highest point of the cabinet. So to start off today, I'm going to remove all of this ceiling backer, and then I'm just going to continue the tongue and groove on the ceiling all the way over to the edge of the wall. And that way I don't need to mess around with how big is the cabinet on the ceiling when I want it 12 inches off the wall. I can just make my frame, which will be the shelf and the uprights, and then wherever that lands, I can just screw it into the ceiling because we're gonna have the tongue and groove going all the way over. So that's what we're doing. While I'm at it, I'm just gonna clean up the wall backing. So I'm gonna leave this as plywood, but I don't really like how there's like multiple parts of it. So a part that I just took off the ceiling is long enough to cover this whole thing. So I'm going to take the stuff off the wall and then use the part from the ceiling to cover this in one go. Yes, I decided to buy a nail gun this time. Renting was quite a bit more expensive than I thought, and between having to redo this and the couple other times I'll need one for the build, it's going to be cheaper just to buy one than rent it a few times. So it's a couple hours later now, and I'm just starting to get to work because we had a little bit more bad luck this morning with our heater we have in the shop. I always come out and turn it on a couple hours before I need to actually work out here because it's not really meant for this kind of space. I think the room is a little big and the shop itself is pretty drafty. And then when I got back from the walk, it wasn't on and it wasn't working. And that just led to me getting just kind of frustrated at things and a little hangry probably, so I took a break and got some food in me and then came back out, and luckily the heater was able to turn on. So the heater is pretty important, not just because it's nice for me to be a little bit more comfortable while I'm working, but really because we have a lot of painting to do now, and with it being below freezing most of the day now, below freezing and painting doesn't really work well together. So we need to be able to get the shop up to, you know, a reasonable temperature in order for me to be able to paint out here. But now with the heater working, I'm able to get to work. The rest of the day for me is going to be a lot of jumping around. We have the passenger side upper cabinets and driver side upper cabinets, and both of them are at like very different stages. I had worked a couple days ago now on the passenger side, so that's quite a bit farther along, and I'm still kind of cutting and assembling a lot for the driver side. let's get to work then. Okay, so I'm starting with the passenger side shelf. So this is the actual shelf. I'm just going to sand down the primer a little bit, and then I will sand the frame, and then I will assemble those things together. So I just put a couple dabs of the marine grade adhesive here just to help along with the screws I'll put in. And I'm not using wood glue for this because I've already primed both of the frame and the shelf itself. So I sunk those screws into the wood a little bit. So now I'm going to go through with that same hole filler that I've used previously and cover up all the screw heads. The best way I found to use this stuff, especially with screw holes like this, is to put way too much on, so it's overfilled, and then let it completely dry, come back and sand it, and then from there you can paint it. About to start making the sides of the upper cabinet for the passenger side. So this piece is, and I have my first scribe mark here. I'm not 100% sure what I'm doing with this, and I know it's going to take multiple scribes to get it to the right shape, so I'm just gonna, this is an experiment and we'll see how it goes. Third scribe, and this one should fit, and I'll show you guys how it looks. So you can see that this is a really good fit along here and here. So this edge right here is not vertical, and this edge is not perfectly horizontal. So I need to figure out how to make that happen, and I'm not exactly sure how to do that. So I'm gonna have to do some experimenting. This piece might very well turn into scrap that I mess up. But yeah, I'm just gonna spend some time to figure out how to actually get this to be like these two edges to be squared off, so that it fits the shelf. Alright, we've got some catching up to do. Since you've last seen me, I was sick for 3 days and did no work on the van at all. And then yesterday I started to do some work, but just wanted to ease into it and didn't do any filming. To be honest, you didn't miss much. So I was making like the end plates for the upper cabinet and messed them up on 3 separate occasions. So I essentially spent all day cutting out 2 pieces of wood. And today I'm actually going to be switching over to do our bed. So we are hoping to take the van back to Wisconsin to meet my family for Thanksgiving. But in order to do so, we need to change the insurance that we have on the van. Currently, it's just standard passenger car insurance, and we need to move it to motorhome insurance. But in order to do so, we need to show that there are permanent changes in the van, and there are certain things that they look for. One of them being a bed. The bed is what we're going to work on actually after the upper cabinets, but I have all the supplies here in order to get the bed platform in place. So what I'm gonna do now is just do it real quick and dirty of just getting the bed platform in place, so that we can take a picture and send it off to our insurance so that we're able to upgrade our insurance from passenger car to motorhome. now with that bed stuff done, I'm going back to the upper cabinets, and the next thing I have to do is cut out the end plates that I messed up 3 times yesterday. So Danielle and I just carried this out there. So this is the driver's side shelf that I'm making the end plates for. So we held that up in the van and then traced out, see those pencil lines on there. So that is where the shelf will go. You see I way oversized this thing because I messed it up 3 times and I didn't want to mess it up again. So now that I have the 10 3-inch strips cut out, I'm going to cut them down to the lengths that I need.
To show, this life's a show. Try not to glow. Way down below, it's a lot of woe. And that's not a place where you would like to go. I've got cigarettes and brandy, which come handy. Help me losing my hand grenades. Baby, don't refuse my truth. But it's up to you. I want you to stay true. What's right for you? No matter who or know what will others say. Just find your way and try to stay true.
Alright everyone, with the upper cabinets in now, that's going to be it for this week's video. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.